Hi, my name's Amlidos, and I'm going to be teaching you how to use basic holos inside Expression 2 Gary's mod. I'm going to get my tool gun out, and we're going to create one. Alright. There's about 5 or 6 functions you use when creating a holo. First is holoCreate. And inside the parentheses, you'll be giving your holo an index, such as 0, 1, 2, 3, pretty much any number. So I'm going to make mine 1. Now, when I spawn it, it's going to be a cube, it's going to be white, and it's going to be inside the chip. So, I'm going to be teaching you how to define your holo to make it different. There's other functions. holoModel is one, for instance. When you're going to be using a holo function, you're going to state the index first, which is 1, and then you put a comma. For holoModel, you're going to put the model inside quotes, like I do. I'm going to make mine a cone. Okay. So now we have a cone, and it's the basic size, except you can see that that model looks bad. Recently, Expression 2 came out with better models, like hqcone. Looks a lot better. Alright, so next, I'm going to teach you how to change the scaling of it. Its default scale is 1, 1, 1. If we want to change it, we're going to state the index first, and then use the function vector. Its default, again, is 1, 1, 1. If we want to make it bigger in the x-axis, we change it to 3. That would pretty much multiply the scale by 3 on the x-axis. I'm going to make the whole thing bigger by changing all the scalings to 3. There you have the cone. Now, say we want the cone to be red. We're going to be using the holoColor function. We're again going to be stating the index and then a vector. The vector is going to represent red, green, blue, like that. I'll be changing red to 255, which is the max number for colors, green to 0, and blue to 0 also. Now we'll have a red cone. Okay, so say you don't want it right there on the ground inside the chip. We use the holoPos function. We're again going to be using a vector, and it's going to be 0, 0, 20. That will make it 20 units above 0, 0, 0, and we don't see it because it's about right here. Oh, right over there. Okay. That's 20 units above the center of the map. So maybe we want it 20 units above the chip. So we're going to create a variable called ChipPos. It doesn't matter what a variable's name is. I'm going to make it entity pos. You separate functions with colon, and that will give me a vector, which is the chip's position, because the function entity by default returns the ID of the actual E2 chip. So I'm going to be adding chip pos plus the vector 20 on the z-axis. It's like x, y, z. So this will make it 20 units above the chip. Now I'm going to make it 50 units above the chip, so you can see the difference. Okay, so now we know how to use all these functions right here. Oh, you see, when I move the chip, it's not going to follow the chip. Why? Because the code gets ran once. If we want it to be constantly run, we use the function interval. Interval runs like this. Interval makes the whole code in the E2 run again every however many milliseconds. You state the milliseconds right here. I'm going to make it run every 100 milliseconds. So every 100 milliseconds, it is going to update the position, because it will rerun the code and do all this over again. So now when I move it, it follows it, and when I rotate the chip, it also follows suit. So now we have that working. Next, I'm going to show you how to make your chip more efficient. Okay, so we're going to be using an if statement. If and then. Works like that. I'm going to start the then statement right here. That's the curly brackets. And then inside the parentheses is arguments. If this stuff is met, then it runs a chunk of code. So I'm going to make it if first, which means if the chip was a spawn, or, which is that straight line symbol, which is underneath your backspace key, duped, which is if it was just pasted from the dupe tool, duplicator, then do this. Alright, so now it's going to run this once, but see, the position will not update because the second time it ran, it's not going to update because it wasn't just spawned or just duped. So I'm going to move position outside the then, and now we have about 5-6 ops, and it does the same thing, so it's more efficient. Now I'm going to teach you how to move it above your head and make it stay there. I'm going to create another variable called Ownerpos, or actually Ownerheadpos, and that is going to be owner function pause, no, shootPos, which is where the entity shoots from, which only works when it's a player. So now I'm going to add Ownerheadpos plus the vector 50. So now it's going to be 50 units above my head. But you see when I move it lags around. I'm going to teach you how to fix that. You're going to be using a function called holoParent. You can parent means that it copies the movements of what it's parented to. So I'm going to parent 1 to owner. Now it's parented to me. Except, so now it works good, but now we're going to make it more efficient again by moving position back into there. So now it positions above my head, and then it parents it. I'm going to also move parent in the then statement, so it parents it to me once because that's all it needs to do. It does the same thing, and now it has 0 ops, or has a little bit of ops. It's efficient, it does something, stays over your head. I'll be posting the code in the YouTube description for you. And that is the basic holos. That's a basic holo tutorial by Amlidos. I hope you learned something.